going on, Jeromes? So it's funny. Like we try our best to stay away from just like clickbait stuff, but usually what will happen is that we'll ask a sort of stir in the pot question of, hey, should the Vikings trade player X? Hey, should the Vikings sign player XYZ? And the video will basically just be me saying no, but the comments, people just get so mad. How dare you even? It's a stupid question. Even though the answer is no. But Jordan Addison, hey, all right, so Vikings first round pick in 2023 had a phenomenal rookie year, 70 for 9, 11, and 10 touchdowns. But 2 off seasons in a row now, Jordan Addison has found himself in a not great spot. So last year, it was the speeding, going 140 into 55. Allegedly trying to get home to his dog, having a medical emergency, going on all John Wick. So all right, so that was 1, and then 2, much more serious, is the DUI situation. Now, the reports are could have been marijuana versus alcohol. Now, a lot of people are treating that as like a aha, gotcha moment. I mean, it's still operating a motor vehicle while impaired, and it's still illegal in the state of California to have any THC in your system while driving. Also, it doesn't really change the fact that he was passed out in traffic, blocking an on-ramp. So, either way, second off season in a row, he's put himself in a bad spot, and it's starting to become a pattern. And of course, doing the whole to-do of deleting the Vikings pictures off your Instagram. They're back now, so we can sleep easy now, finally. But the whole thing about it, too, is like when he was drafted, and the first thing he said, let's get paid. I know that a lot of people, that rubbed them the wrong way. I was sort of whatever. I was like, young kid, realized a lifelong dream. He's celebrating. He's not the only player in the National Football League who's motivated by money. A lot of them, frankly, are, right? But there's a lot of things that are just like adding up with Jordan Addison. And at a certain point, hey, Jefferson and Addison are indeed the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League, but Addison has to mature. He has to start keeping himself out of these bad situations. And the thing about it is, too, it's like, didn't mean to be flippant about the speeding thing, but what would happen if Addison would have hit someone? Like one of the other numerous situations that we've seen by players from around the league recently, right? Or same thing with the DUI. What if the alleged DUI? What if Addison being passed out in traffic allegedly? What if that caused a pileup? What if he had hit someone? What if X, Y, Z? Now you could say, well, it didn't happen. He's definitely putting himself in spots where it is increasing the likelihood of something bad happening, right? So something extremely, extremely terrible, and unfortunately we've seen a lot of that in the news and around the league as of late. But long story longer, so we put out the question, should the Vikings consider trading Jordan Addison? Now, we did this basically is like, hey, the Vikings have said that they have a culture of accountability and a culture of high character. Now, Addison could be pushing the boundaries on a couple of these things, and at a certain point, like, is the juice not worth the squeeze with Addison? But poll results, this is what we asked. Should the Vikings consider trading Jordan Addison? And I said specifically, not advocating one way or the other, so don't get mad. But, of course, people always get mad. Literally just want to get the temperature of the fan base. So 4,600 Jeromes responded. 23% say yeah, 77% say nah. Now, I'm in the camp of basically everyone could be traded if the price is right. Like, if a team just came in and offered a first and a third for Addison, first and a second, sure. But a Pro Bowl caliber offensive lineman, sure. But I don't necessarily see that happening at this moment in time. And so at a certain point, like, a team just sort of has to cut bait. I don't think we're at that point yet. Now, like I said, it's a touchy situation because the speeding or the alleged DUI could have ended in much worse results. right? And the whole thing about it is like he's a talented kid, and yeah, it may be a cynical take, but talent will get you more chances, not only in the National Football League, but in pretty much any industry, right? And Addison does have a ton of talent, but he's got to understand, like, you chalk the speeding up to youthful indiscretion, fine, in the Lamborghini, but being passed out in the Rolls Royce, potentially being high off your ass, that ain't a good look either. So I think that the Vikings leadership, and it starts with Kevin O'Connell, also team captains, plus his de facto mentor, Justin Jefferson, like, they have to try their best to get through to Jordan Addison. And maybe they've tried before, maybe they failed, maybe it's whatever. But at a certain point, Addison has to decide if he wants to be great or if he just wants to live the life and then roll the dice that way. All right, so Kevin O'Connell has to decide if Addison is getting it or if he's going to continue to make these mistakes, and what you tolerate is a standard. Because if Addison keeps messing up and O'Connell keeps sort of letting him skate by, everyone else sees that. Well, whether it's coaches, and yeah, people will point to Wes Phillips. He was suspended for 3 weeks. Now, you could say that was a slap on the wrist, fine, but that's an argument for another day. But other players will see Addison getting by with everything, but it will be almost hypocritical. Actually, it would be hypocritical if they're continuing to preach a culture of high character and accountability. And with Kwesi, like, ultimately, it would be his decision as general manager. Plus, and basically just giving up on the best draft pick that you've had thus far. I don't see that happening. I don't. But I do think it's a spot where Addison is on thin ice, and perhaps a young man just needs help. Because it could be two things. It could be you got to grow up, or you need help. It could be both. It could be both of those situations as well. But, the whole 3-strike thing, would Addison be on strike 2 already? Potentially. But either way, like, Addison has to decide. Like, if he wants to keep doing these things, that'll probably get him cut or traded from the Vikings, and maybe even eventually out of the league. And it's hard to get paid if you're not in the league. So that's it, man. So basically he has to decide. But that's it. Your thoughts are thoughts. Poll results. Should the Vikings consider trading Justin Jefferson? 77% say nah. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts. Comment section below. You guys know what to do. Skol. Production value.